Hey guys, how's it going and welcome back to a new video, and today we are getting stuck into the Fantasy Premier League. I made a video not too long ago kind of going through the result of the World Cup Fantasy League. I've still got my wall chart up there, that needs to come down eventually, but we are now just over a week away from the Premier League kicking off, and at the minute my team is still just the random team I created in order to set up my league. So I'll make sure the code is on the screen. Jump in if you haven't already. And today I will be taking a first look at my team. Like I said, there's still a week and a bit to go till the Premier League kicks off, so it might change. So if you'd like to see a final video of my team before the Premier League kicks off, leave a like down below. For now, I'm not winging it completely. I have done some research. I know which teams have got maybe an easier run at the start of the Premier League, which defenders that look decent for a small value, but essentially I'm just going to go through and pick some players. So let's get started. I may as well explain a few quick rules before I get started as well, in case you haven't played the Premier League Fantasy Football before. Now, you're picking 15 players, 11 players obviously play on the day. It's not like the World Cup when you could chop and change them between the Saturday and the Sunday. You just pick your best 11 to play that weekend. If someone gets injured or doesn't play that day, the game will automatically sub in your first player from the bench. So if it's a goalkeeper, it obviously has to be a goalkeeper. Then you've got 3 subs. Number 1 will come in if someone doesn't play. Number 2 will come in if someone else doesn't play. So in theory, you'll always have 11 players playing, even if one of your starting 11 doesn't start. You have 100 million to spend, and again, just like the World Cup Fantasy League, you've got all of the different prices for all the different players. More expensive players like Salah, midfielder, most expensive 13 million. Most expensive striker is Harry Kane, 12.5 million. The other reason to have players on your bench is because you only get 1 free transfer a week. You can stack them, so if you don't use one week, the next week you can use 2. But they don't stack any higher than that. So the most you can ever have is 2. And then, if you want to make an additional transfer, it costs 4 points. So the idea is, if you only have 1 transfer to make that weekend and someone's injured, you can put someone from the bench into your starting 11. I know I've not explained the rules particularly well, but they do have an entire list of all of the rules on the website. I mean, I read them all a few seasons ago now, but I do generally know how it works. But if you are new and you do want to read all of the rules, you can do by heading over to the link. And I'll even put it in the description if you are new to this fantasy football. As for my team, now we've got 100 million to spend, and like I said, you have to get your bench in as well. It's 15 players. So what I normally do is, if you watched me last year, you'll know this, I tend to go for the cheaper defenders to try and save some money to get in the more expensive strikers. And you can change your formation as well once you've selected your whole team. So I'm probably going to be aiming for a 3 at the back, 3 up front formation with 4 midfielders. So I'll have 3 defenders that'll definitely start, hopefully get me the points, with 2 maybe not starting, with all of my money basically pushed in to the strikers. So yeah, let's just get started. So I do normally like to throw in a £4 million goalkeeper on the bench. Last year I had Rob Elliott from Newcastle, who started every game, which was a great buy. None of the £4 million goalkeepers look to be starting this year, so straight away I'm heading into the 4.5, and I'm probably going to go ahead and pick 2 of them. To kick things off, I'm going to go with McCarthy in net from Southampton. I mean, the first question you've got to ask is, will he definitely start? Because you've obviously got Forrester and Gunn, who they recently signed from Man City. But if I had to bet on one of them 3, it would be him. And the reason I'm going for a Southampton goalkeeper is that, yes, it's not the easiest start. No one has an easy run in the Premier League, but Burnley at home, Everton away, Leicester at home, Crystal Palace away, Brighton at home, and then Liverpool's the first top 6 team that they play. So they do have a decent run there. And another club who has a decent start to the Premier League, I know they're recently promoted, but hopefully high on confidence and will get some decent results in their opening fixtures, is Cardiff. So I'm going for Etheridge. Again, if we look at his opening fixtures, Bournemouth away, Newcastle at home, Huddersfield away, and then obviously it gets bad and goes Arsenal, Chelsea, Man City. But for those 3 opening games, I don't think it's a bad shout. As for £4 million defenders, now this is a pretty tough one last year. I remember I had Hagsy last year from West Brom, 4 million, got a clean sheet and a goal in his first game. But this year I am struggling a little bit. 2 players that I found that I'd imagine would feature Peltier from Cardiff. I know I'm doubling up with the Cardiff goalkeeper and the Cardiff defender, so that might need to get changed. And another one I've spotted is Kelly from Crystal Palace. I'm not 100% sure what these teams plan to line up for the start of the season, but Peltier was playing for Cardiff in the Championship, so unless they buy some players and he gets moved out. And Kelly, they got a lot of defenders at Crystal Palace, but for now, I'll leave him in. Moving into the 4.5 category, I'm going to go with Daniels from Bournemouth. I think he seems like quite a popular choice for a cheap defender. Bournemouth start their campaign with Cardiff, West Ham, Everton, and then Chelsea, Leicester, Burnley. So apart from Chelsea, you know, they're all right. So I think that's not a bad buy there. Like I said, he did pretty well, 94 points last year. And I'd imagine he will be playing. As a Newcastle fan, I do naturally gravitate to wanting to look at the Newcastle players. Now, Lascelles is 5 million, got a fair few goals for a centre-back last year. Yedlin, very attacking fullback, 4.5 million. The problem with Newcastle is we play Spurs, Cardiff away, Chelsea, Man City, then Arsenal. So I think those are decent prices for those players, but they're not to be put in just now. Now I'm going to mix it up slightly here. I'm looking at Southampton. They've got some 4.5 million defenders as well. We know Shedrick is a very decent defender, and at 4.5 million, I'm going to stick him in. It also means, though, that I'm doubling up with my goalkeeper and my Southampton defender. So I'm going to remove McCarthy, and I'm going to put in Fabianski. Now, West Ham didn't have the greatest defensive record last year, but they have brought in a handful. They've brought in 2 handfuls of new signings, so I think they're going to hit the ground running. As for their fixtures, I've not even looked. Liverpool first game. I'm just going to leave it for now. And for my final defender, I'm going to go with Bully from Wolves. They have made a lot of transfers, but I imagine he will still start. So that kind of makes up my goalkeepers and defenders. Now, what you've got to remember is, I know you're probably thinking some of them, what are you doing, Rob? But I only plan to play 3 defenders. I'm going with a 3-4-3 formation. So although all 5 of them may not always have the best starting game, that's why you've got your bench to bring them in and out as the games go on. Now for midfielders. Now there was a reason, like I said, I spent as little as possible on that defence and goalkeeping situation, was so that I could bolster my midfield and top front 3 as much as humanly possible. So I am going to fly straight in there and pick Salah. Liverpool's opening game is against West Ham at home, Crystal Palace away, Brighton at home, Leicester away. That is a very decent start for Liverpool. So even if you wanted to spend the money on a Liverpool defender, it could be worth it for those opening fixtures. It just got really dark. A cloud must have gone over. But looking at Liverpool's defenders, Robertson 6 million, but then Lovren, Alexander-Arnold 5 million. It could be very worth it if I have money left over to put in one of them instead of one of my other defenders. Man City start their season away to Arsenal and then go Huddersfield, Wolves, Newcastle, Fulham, Cardiff, Brighton. They play all 3 promoted teams along with Huddersfield, Newcastle, and Brighton, who were only promoted last year. So other than Arsenal, you'd imagine they should pick up a lot of points in those games. And then you've got the question, is it Sterling, De Bruyne, Mahrez, Sané, Silva? Sterling's more expensive than De Bruyne, but he did get more points last year, so it's a toss of a coin on that one. It might even be worth putting them both in. I've moved away from my midfielders to my strikers to make sure I can afford all of them and then see what to do with the other 2 midfielders. So, Harry Kane. Now, is he going to get a goal in August this year or not? Because if he is, then obviously I want him in. And same with Aguero. Aguero, I think, is a great pick, especially considering Man City's starting games. But are they going to play Jesus instead? For some reason, I don't know. I think I'm going to go with Aguero, but then I need to monitor it. Right, I've had to think about it, and it's got so dark. It's so weird. I've had to think about it, and I'm going to go with Lukaku. Man U have some decent fixtures: Leicester, Brighton, Spurs, Burnley, Watford, Wolves, West Ham, Newcastle. So, and it's Lukaku. You know he's going to get some goals. And I think at this moment in time, I'm actually thinking Firmino. He's a lot cheaper than Harry Kane. And although I would naturally just pick Harry Kane, you know, top goal scorer in the World Cup and everything like that, but at the same time, he has that thing where he takes a little bit of time to hit the ground running. And now that I've said that, he's going to get a hat-trick against Newcastle in his first game. But, like I said already, Liverpool have a really decent run into the Premier League. And I've finished my team. I've taken a few minutes to just go through some of my players. What I've actually done is I've taken out De Bruyne. I said I had to pick between him and Sterling, really. and to afford the players to finish the team, I had to do it. I went with Kennedy, 5 million from Newcastle. I think that's a very decent £5 million midfielder. The problem is Newcastle have a pretty tough start of the season. Wilshere is only 5 million for West Ham. Now, it's still in question how he's going to do when he gets there, but we know Wilshere has ability, so I'm hoping he will pick up some points. I went for Stevens from Brighton, predicting he will start, really just a 4.5 million player to put on my bench. And then I removed Bolly from Wolves and put in Bennett, because he is 0.5 million cheaper. And he played a fair bit, so I should imagine he would play this year. But if you're a Wolves fan, please feel free to tell me he won't. So I'm going to confirm those changes, and then we can have a little shuffle of the team. So obviously Fabianski plays against Liverpool first game, so let's get in our Cardiff goalkeeper. And remember, whichever player is first in your bench is the first player to come on if someone gets injured, so you can move your bench around like that to make sure you have it in order of who you want to come on first. And then I can save my team, so that is what it's looking at right now. Relatively happy, like I said, it's not 100% done yet. I do want to go back and double check some things, but none of my defence are playing any of the top 6 teams. Even the 2 defenders I've got down on the bench are playing again. Well, Wolves are playing Everton. That's probably the biggest one. And it's just a complete guess of who will actually come out on top in those games. I've got Salah in, Sterling, Aguero, Firmino and Lukaku, so you're hoping for some big points. Man City do play Arsenal first game of the season, so there's a few eggs in that basket that may not pull off. Especially since I've got Aguero captain. I may give that to Firmino. Or maybe even Salah would be better. Save that. But yes, guys, that is it. I'm going to stop talking now because I think I've been talking too long. But that is my first draft. First team of the Fantasy Football League. So make sure to let me know down below where I've gone wrong and which players I've picked or who aren't going to be playing, because I'm sure I've made a mistake somewhere. But yeah, drop a like if you have enjoyed this video. Make sure to drop a like if you want to see my final team before the Premier League kicks off. Man U are actually playing on the Friday night against Leicester, so I'll have to make sure to do it maybe on the Thursday night. And yeah, but thank you all for watching. As always, drop a like, join the league if you haven't already, and I'll catch you later.